Agenda here due to the fact that we didn't have a quorum in July. So we have a lot of things to hit on. Hopefully we can get through the ones that were in front of us last month fairly rapidly and then get on to our new work for this month here. With everyone's cooperation, we can keep things moving along. So if we are ready to go, let's start off. We have a 216 spruce tree. Demo existing, new construction, 1,000 cubic yards off-site. Remove 7, replant 24, 16, new canopy.
Hi, Jack Burns. It's here last month as well. At that time, everything looked fairly well good. There were a couple additional notes that were requested to be put on the plans regarding the trimming of existing roots to remain, and those notes have been placed.
If it would, maybe just, this is one of the ones that was previously discussed, maybe just to give a quick update to the commissioners that weren't here.
So we approved it. Well, we talked about this plan last week, so anybody who wasn't here, you could just real quick just review what we had talked about again.
As far as the general project scope,
Just
unfortunately, the
down
gentleman who, the civil engineer and the person from my office who's knowledgeable about the trees, they're both on vacation this week. So in general, we're going to be removing an existing home from a property and constructing two smaller buildings on that property with a courtyard and other such features. And during that construction, there will be the removal of a couple trees that were here, and we have proposed to replace them as described in these documents.
Right, and we had. Gus,
Could I ask
do
the
you
applicant, could you put them on the table, your plans? Thank you.
Do you remember this plan?
Oh.
Gus? On that uphill wall side, right? Okay.
So up towards this end.
Right, was that the north side of the project? There's a retaining wall going in along the north side here.
Yes.
We had asked that they cleanly cut the roots that they're going to encounter of the neighbor's trees when they excavate for that, the footer for that wall. And then
There is an existing retaining wall in that location. We're going to be extending it further east, though.
further toward the driveway, further to the street?
The opposite direction, sorry. Further towards the rear of the property.
Okay. I think we were worried about that and just confirmed about the existing sewer line was staying where it's marked. It's not going to be updated.
No, sir. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, the existing sewer in the street.
Yeah.
And- yes.
Going between the trees to the street.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Right, okay,
This was staying, and the issue was with some roots on the top
right.
from the neighbor's trees. So
Right.
they're going to hand cut those.
What about this one
Nothing changes here. This is all existing.
here? Okay. 42-inch Q1.
This
The trees stay, right?
So no, yeah.
Okay. I don't see the trees removed now. It's all right, you guys already looked at that. You have a different plan to do.
The-
You have last one's plan, right? Brought that back from last one?
Yeah.
I was like, I was just one sheet. Yeah, there they are. So this is coming, is work being done under this?
No, this is existing features.
Okay. Looks good.
Right. We have the tree removal list this is on this page, so. Right. So, any other questions from the group here?
I they planting any trees, or the 2 trees were smaller than?
Right, they're replanting 24.
Oh.
And 16 of those 24 are canopy trees, which are on my first sheet. Or what, do you have 04 with you?
Not-
Oh, I have it here. You guys, we have 04. Okay. So we have a vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval granted.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is 530 North Tring Mill, SEPTA, Villanova Train Station.
350.
350, excuse me. Existing train station and parking lot upgrades include new tunnel ramp stairs, high-level platforms, low-level platform, parking lot extension.
Good evening. Julie Rentz from Urban Engineers. We were here in, I believe, June, and the biggest concern that I believe the commission had was that we didn't have the calculations shown on our plans. We have since put the calculations on our plans. On sheet L104, we show the summary of the trees to be removed, and then on sheet, I believe it's L102, we have the summary of trees to be replanted. The total number of trees to be removed, I believe, is 38 trees. We're planning 39 based on the calculation. If you remove the poor or dead trees, we're required to put back 39. We're putting in 38 canopy trees and 5 understory trees. So we exceed the requirement based on the calculation in the ordinance.
Per our discussion last month, when we discussed a few things, were there any changes to be made on that plan per that discussion?
I don't believe so. If there was, the only thing that was still possibly questionable was the trees in the landscape areas, whether or not you wanted those to be the swamp white oak or white oak.
Right.
So
You thought you decided swamp white oak, right?
it's, I wasn't sure what you guys wanted on that last meeting, whether we decided to go with swamp white oak or.
Yeah, I think we did
Okay.
swamp white oak.
Then that's, okay, then that's the only change we'll make.
Okay. And other than that, we agreed on the count, right? So, this had come before us in June, and we sent it back for some revisions. They came back in July, and we had a discussion on a few items. She's come back with the plan now with those items that we discussed prior, the changes made, and the changes in the island plantings as swamp white oaks. And the number of trees has changed a bit because they have, there's a number of trees that are in poor shape, John, that aren't on our compensatory planting list. So it's down a little bit, but they've already overcompensated, so we should be fine. So we have a vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Permission granted.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is 425 Houston Road. Construct swimming pool, 90 cubic yards of dirt on site.
Yes, Gordon Johnson, Johnson Pools, and I was here last month, and we won't be removing any trees or putting any new trees back, and there was 2 requests on the drawing that I show and identify all the trees, which we did here. We moved the filter a little further away from the trees on this side of the property towards the pool. We did both of those. And I think it's hopefully going to get approved.
Okay. Do we have a revised copy of that, of this plan with the? This is in our,
It's in the packet.
okay, sorry about that. Yep, got it. All right.
The notation is, if I may, it's the 8414 added tree information, moved equipment on the plan. So if you go to the title block, that should be the plan that you have revision number 2.
I got it.
You say it moved equipment.
There's a filter equipment right next to the pool.
Okay.
Right here, if you look up, and it was a little closer to the trees, we slid it up right next to the pool by the fence.
We asked him to move it away from the trees, and he moved it up for us.
Thank you.
We need
Alright.
the trees labeled, and they're labeled.
So we're showing existing trees now
Yes.
on your plan, right?
Yes, existing trees down and around the pool side.
Okay. So our access here stays the same?
Yes.
Could we add some tree protection on the east side to the access? We have two 24-inch trees on the corner of the house here.
The gate right here is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, can we get that incorporated into the tree protection while we're at it? And then we're showing proposed tree protection on the south side of this access area, right?
Yes.
All the way around the back?
No, there's nothing back in there. We're like 50 feet away from those drop lines of the trees in the back end of that pool. And disturbances, only see the disturbance line.
Excuse me, sir, I'm sorry, could you speak into the mic? You could just push it over to yourself.
Yeah, there's no tree protection on that back side where, if you look, I mean, we're a good
Oh, right.
50
No,
feet.
you're right. There's an 18-inch Japanese maple here on the south corner.
Yes.
Yes,
If-
that shows that the protection comes down and wraps right around there.
I'm just getting lost between the tree protection fence and your proposed access gray line.
Okay, well, the fence coming down, which is my access line.
Yeah.
Which goes down and then goes around, and that's the limit of disturbance.
That's a silt fence you're referring to there?
I believe that's what it is.
Well, can you just look at my plan here for a second?
Yes.
Just worried about this, there's a Japanese maple here. All right, so here's the tree protection here, right? All right, so it's stopping here. So hook it, make it hook to here. So we have that incorporated, right? And around that, and then we're gonna hook this, right? So these are. Okay. So,
In the inside of my disturbance.
right, in the inside of disturbance. So we want to fix the tree protection on these two trees on the corner of the house here, two 24-inch trees.
Right.
And then I have an 18-inch Japanese maple, which would be on it's on the east corner, southeast corner of the limit of disturbance. We need to push we need to push the tree protection around that maple tree. Right, south corner.
So, sir, Mr. Chairman, what we'll ask the applicant to do, if they get this commission's approval, just provide Mrs. Jones with your revised plan, and there'll be notes to go to the grading permit reviewer to take it from there.
That's fine. So we're all in agreement there?
Moving the fence here
Yep,
and here.
exactly.
Okay. Just, where does it stop? It stops here, right?
Yep, so he's just going to finish this here
Right.
and continue it.
Right, okay.
All right, any questions for Mr. Johnson?
No?
Okay, we're good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, next up is, let me see. We have 760
Woodley?
Woodley. Demo existing structure, construct new 365 cubic yards off-site, 7 trees removed, 19 replanted. Of that, 10
That must
need
have
to be
been
large
revised.
canopy trees. We don't have that? No 760? Okay.
That's easy. Move on.
We had plans on that from last week, last month.
205 Stratford.
Next up is 205 Stratford. Subdivide existing parcel into, is that correct? Six, okay.
No, it's just,
I must have this wrong on my thing here. So it's subdivide existing parcel into 5 lots?
Yes, excuse me. There's a conversation between the engineer and the owner, Benson, with the Township consultants. What they're going to do is, they're going to take this lot line out, and this is going to become one solid lot, so it only becomes a 5-lot subdivision. But they've worked that out amongst themselves.
So just the wording on this, Steve, I got subdivide the existing parcel into 6 lots on this paper here.
Right now, the applicant, Bo Erickson, has changed it. So if you look to the parcel on the left, that's really just going to be one lot with open space, not dedicated open space. So it's going to be a
Be in lieu of.
5-lot subdivision instead of a 6.
What page is that? It's not on you?
we don't have that, right? That picture
No.
you showed up there?
I do not have the lot that came down in the last day or so.
Page,
Speaking of Mike,
looks like page 5.
No, I do not have that plan. That was done, I guess, administratively amongst the consultants and Bo Erickson.
Sheet 5 looks like that.
Right, originally, they wanted to put a house back there, right?
So that's the current.
Exactly.
So this is the open space now. That would have been lot 6, I guess.
but the open space is now being incorporated into the lot that's directly in front of it, is that correct?
No, it's being incorporated into the larger lot of the existing estate home that's there.
Okay, so that where the existing state home will be sort of like an L shape?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that's a subsequent revision to the subsequent revision.
So
Something that
the,
I wasn't privy to until
Okay.
2 hours ago.
2 hours ago. So the lots are going to be the 3 that are along Eagle Road,
Yes, sir?
and then the one with the big house on it and the little piece off in the corner,
Yes, sir?
and the other lot will be the one that's far on the far left on Stratford Ave.
Yes, sir.
Everybody understand? Okay.
Okay, so let's walk back to our discussion from last month,
Okay.
where we were started to go through the process here, lot by lot of what was coming down. We had a little bit of problem identifying that because of the nomenclature on the maps.
Okay.
So we had talked about reworking the maps so we could read them.
Map in the sense of the tree survey plan? Is that correct?
Am I correct?
What was going to be taken down, there were so many trees. We didn't know what was being taken down, what wasn't being taken down, and what those trees were.
So I only have 5 of these, but this is our demo tree removal plan.
That's what we're looking for.
I don't need that. You guys can share, right?
Yeah, we'll share.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and not to waste the applicant's time, but what I would suggest as a recommendation, so we're going to receive a revised set of plans that's going to show the subdivision with that open space incorporated into the existing house. And my recommendation would be that that's what you need to look at, because that's what's going to be going for subdivision, and that's what's going to be going for grading permits, as opposed to working off of this plan. In other words, you should be looking at the latest plan that's going to go to Planning Commission and eventually to the Board of Commissioners, which none of these 2 plan sets represent.
So we might as well wait till we get the right plans.
That's my recommendation, sir.
Is this on planning commission for Monday, Tuesday, whenever it is?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So at that time, you'll have the new plans?
That's my understanding. They'll have the new plan, the new revisions for the subdivision, that line coming out.
Okay, so at that time, I mean, and then we can look at the plans with the revisions on them.
Well, with that said, the only thing that changed is the lot line. And then the landscaping hasn't changed, the tree replacement hasn't changed, except for the additional of one tree. We were able to save additional trees that were coming out from the original plan that we had shown you back in June. We were able to save that material when we went to revise it. And then after talking with you, we went from the 2.5-inch caliber to 4 to 5-inch calibers, because the landscape plan, as you can see, would have made it a forest pretty much on the whole site. So on the recommendation, we went back and came up with the 4 to 5-inch caliber trees, which gave us larger plant material, gave us a better look landscape plan. And then from there, the only other minor revision was we went back and we did additional tally when they reworked some of the grading, and found that it was pretty much a wash, and we only really had to add one more additional tree. And the last landscape plan reflects that plan.
So this is the, Jim, these are the new trees here, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The one that you have,
Sheet 9?
yes, the one that you have.
Yeah.
Sheet 9 of 9, exactly.
But you're saying that's changed now, right? You're saying this has changed now, right? Is this current? Is this right?
This is the current plan, except for one additional tree has been added.
Yeah, that's the plan, the new planting plan.
They just did the same thing, they just, we went over that, we went to how many trees to minimize equal.
So how many fewer trees are they putting in
I think it was, how many trees less? How many less trees did we put in?
But since we doubled them up, 4 to 5-inch caliber, we did roughly 2 to 2.
39 removed on the plan.
Yes. And then we went down to, on the new plan, we're down to 16 canopies, to 4 to 5-inch caliber.
16 from 32.
But it's more than double the size.
Right.
What's going on right here? Changing anything here?
No. All we did was add, this is a build up, it's not a cut. Fill, not a cut.
Okay, let's.
The new canopies are what calipers? The new canopies are what caliper?
4 to 5-inch caliper.
All right, let's start over here. We have, in total, trees coming down. Our number is, do we have it on one of these sheets? Our
Yes,
to-
it'll be on the landscape compliance chart.
Number?
9 of 12.
Right. So is our total number of trees coming down on this chart?
Yes, there is. If you look on the replacement trees, it says 34, 6 to 18, 3, 19 to 29, and 4, I'm sorry, 4, 30 and up. I'm sorry.
You see it? So 6 to 8, there's 31 to be removed, 19, 29, 3, and heritage trees, 4 to be removed.
Yes.
Okay. So our total's 38, right? 38 trees being removed. Under our ordinance, there would be how many trees to go back in without the calculation difference, so everybody understands what we're talking about here, because not everybody was here.
6 to 19 was 1 for 1, and then 19 to 29 was 1 for 3, and then 30 and up was 1 for 6.
Okay. So in the initial plan, how many trees do you have going back in total?
In the
before we
initial
revised it?
plan, we had a total, the initial plan, there was a total of 82.
Okay. And this revised plan, the total is
And in the
40?
revised plan, we are at 45. And some of those are 4 to 5 inch calipers, and the other are 2 to 2.5 inch.
Okay. I don't know if you have it, but we had an existing plan from their initial landscape plan that they gave to us in July, and it showed 82 trees in this lot, all crammed in.
And that's this one.
Okay.
Oh, well, 9 of 12 was the original landscape plan that he had asked about, which had the existing, or the additional lot on it.
Right.
And then the revised one, when we were here in July, was this one, taking the lot out, saving the trees. And then the final one, it's pretty much the same, it just we added an additional tree because it was a wash when we saved them, but had to remove some less than desirable white pines, which we are replacing them for 1-to-1.
Jim, have we done that before where we consider caliper increases and for fewer trees being replaced? I think normally what we do is we just ask for a contribution, right?
Right. So John had made the point of possibly saying they could put in bigger trees. This is what we're voting on here.
We have the authority to do that though, right? To accept that.
If you feel it's a viable option in this case.
What is the total number of trees that are deficient?
Or
Tree coming
deficient?
down?
No, I mean, the difference between what is
Oh, yeah.
required under the code versus what is actually going to be placed.
I think they're cutting them in half.
Right, by code, it would be 82 trees.
Right.
So they upped in order to compensate for the multitude of trees, they've upped the diameter of the trees. So the inch, they're making more inches because they have bigger trees, and they brought it down to 49
Okay.
from 82, with 4 or 5 inch diameter trees.
4 to 5 inch diameter, exactly.
So that's what we are talking about right now. Do we feel that's a good compromise, or do we want to ask for, to stick with our original ordinance that would say you'd have to put in 82 trees, and if they don't have room here, they would have to donate the money to the park or plant trees in the park?
Did we discuss, because of the amount that was required, we wanted to put in a larger size? That was one of the factors too. And that's
Reduce the number and put the larger size,
Right.
which is what they're wanting to do.
Right. They could fit so many of the larger size in and the amount of actual inches would be the same, caliper inches, fewer trees, 30 fewer trees on the site.
Weren't we also concerned, many of these are understory, if I'm not mistaken, and we were concerned about
Right, this is what we had to.
surviving.
Right, and we had to talk about how many of these would be canopy trees. So out of your 49 trees that you have selected, how many are canopy trees?
They're
on the
all
site?
canopy trees that we're replacing. Any flowering tree, well, there is no flowering trees on it because we did evergreens and deciduous trees. But if you look at the landscape plan and the plant material that was coming out, we are removing some of the larger trees, but now we're replacing them with newer canopy trees. So there really is an underplanting of a shade tree underneath of a larger canopy tree, if that was your concern.
You know, I'm just worried that if we do this, it's going to set a precedent of really going against our own ordinance. And if we do that, then anybody else that comes in with an overcrowded type situation is going to be able to say, you know, we did this for them, why aren't you doing it for us?
The board, the commission also has, pardon me for interrupting, the fee in lieu of option
Right.
for any, so that is another option. So if there were X number of trees required, and it was felt that that was too many for the lot, you could request the applicant pay the fee in lieu of, that goes into the shade tree fund for planting in other places in the township.
I mean,
You're familiar with what we're talking about
I know
here?
exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
yes.
under our new ordinance, has this been, I mean, have we done this in the past?
Yeah, we just recently did it for Radnor,
Where they put in bigger,
yeah, for the streetscape. It's a unique situation just for the mere fact that the property is very small, and unfortunately, the ordinance hurts the applicant and also hurts us. You know, we cannot fit 8 trees.
right, it just wouldn't, it wouldn't deter another applicant of not putting in, say they had to put in 6 trees because they took a heritage tree down, they could just put in, you know, 2 8-inch caliper trees or whatever, if they wanted to, in the future.
If we approve it.
Right.
And they still have to pay the fee in lieu of.
No, because they're matching inches. They're just matching inches of caliper, not trees, number of trees. So, in this case, what they've asked is for a subtraction of total number of trees in lieu of increasing the size of the trees that they're putting on the site, so that they'd be replacing with more canopy trees rather than trying to pack all the trees into the site and not having to give a contribution.
We're still obtaining the caliper requirements.
Right.
I would,
I mean, just,
really different. I'm indifferent on the size of the trees. I would want to see a contribution be made in the event that not all the trees can be placed.
I agree, because the smaller caliper trees are going to grow and get to the state that we, hopefully, if they survive, would grow. I mean, so the idea is to get the replacement trees, and I think, you know, we're depriving our own funds that way by doing that. For no real gain here.
so,
You know, that's our formula, that if you don't want to replace all the trees, then you make a contribution. Would you have a problem making a contribution like that?
I can't speak for the developer
Yeah.
about that, but if you go back to the original landscape plan, and if we were to not do the fee in lieu of, we can fit them on there, and we would not have to give you a dime.
Right.
The idea was to make it a very attractive development with larger plant material, because a 2.5-inch caliber tree isn't a very large tree. Bigger trees
Yeah, I know.
make the site look a lot nicer. I would have to contact the developer to see if that's something that they would be interested in doing. What would be your recommendation then on that? I mean, could we put 50 in and then have to do a fee in lieu of for 30 to go back down to 2.5? Or could we still get some of the 4 to 5s that we're looking for to give that appearance that we're looking for? I mean, aesthetically, larger trees are better when you're marketing the property also. And you don't have to wait as long for them to get that large.
Just on your plan here, what is the trunk spacing on these 5-inch trees that run along this driveway?
25 feet.
25 feet. So, well, that's something that we have to decide.
Yeah, I'm for staying with our original formula. And then
I think we
let
were
let the developer decide, do they want to plant a few bigger trees and pay more to us in terms of, or do they want to plant more smaller trees and not contribute to our replacement fund? But we want to keep that replacement fund viable. That's, I think, an important part of the ordinance. If we do this consistently, we're going to really limit ourselves, I think, in that.
I think we were concerned with overcrowding, and that's why we had this discussion before
Exactly.
last, if I recall that.
Right.
But going back to
There's
his
an
point,
option there.
going back to the point that he made earlier, they're not going to do something that would impair the marketability of the property. So I think that they would probably err on the side of making the contribution rather than building a forest in this location.
I can't speak for the owner on that part.
There's a large swimming pool there, so it'd be awfully crowded.
The contribution, John, that they would
$300 a
make
tree.
in lieu of is $250? Right.
And you have more open space now, too, to put trees in, don't you, with the revised plans?
This area right here, because there's a large heritage katsuri here, there's a large sugar maple here, and another sugar maple over here.
Right.
Jim, excuse me, for developers, $500.
It's $500 per tree? So that's what we need.
We want to stick with the ordinance.
Okay.
Because I think we're going to have to can roads. We're not really going to have trouble. We're going to really keep our funds in these kind of situations.
All right, so,
How about suggestion, we recommend they do larger trees and stick to the ordinance?
Yeah.
We like larger tree version of it. But they still have, they choose to do that, they still have to do it. And that's, can we do some sort of
So it's under
okay, well, we need to vote on this, whether we're in favor of this option of the supplementing the number of trees with larger tree diameter, or we'd rather stick to our ordinance as is. So,
form, not exactly a motion, so that it's very clear what we're doing.
do you want to help me out there?
Then I'll move that we stick with the original formula. We state a preference for the larger trees, but if the developer decides that he's going to go with the larger trees, you still have to do the fee in lieu of in accordance with the ordinance. Otherwise, we stick with the ordinance completely. Is that clear?
Yep.
We have a vote, all in favor?
In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So the in favors have it, so we're going to stick with our original ordinance that would have them either plant the 82 trees or plant whatever they may feel is appropriate on this space, and then give, in lieu of, compensatory money to our parks. Steve?
It's a shade tree fund.
Shade
It's
tree
actually
fund.
dedicated. And my request would be, once the applicant makes his determination, that he should come back to this commission with the latest revised set of plans showing what they're going to do, and bring that forth for you for your final recommendation of approval or denial.
Okay, so it'll be back to us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have, next up is 120 Hillside Circle, construct new house, 481 cubic yards dirt off-site, 10 trees removed, 10 replant.
Good evening, everyone. From our discussions from last month, my name is T.R. Moser. Discussions was we had to make a correction to the total number of trees being taken down. It says 10, it should be 11. So we made those, it's not on this plan, this is the plan that I brought in last month. So that was the one change we had to make per meeting. We had to change the tree protection fence that was missing here where the limited disturbance is shown. We had to add tree protection fence there, and we had to make the, per your recommendation, the tree protection fence come up around here where the electric will be in that same area where the sewer's coming in. And that was the discussion from last month of changes that you wanted made to the plan.
So you have your revised plan with those
I
changes?
do not have the revised plans. No, I had the revised plans sent to Matt, the engineer, because I thought from our last meeting that these were going to be conditions to be put onto the plan to be changed as part of our approval from you
Okay,
guys.
so engineering has that with those changes then?
I didn't.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
I didn't submit the plans to you guys. I emailed the plans to Matt as part of their recommendations from last time.
Okay, so and you made the changes at the change?
Yeah, I took everything down from last meeting, and I told our engineer, hey, this is what the changes they wanted, sent everything over to Matt, the engineer, because I didn't realize I had to come back and present, or I would have brought the revised.
Just so everybody's straight, and I apologize to the applicants, but there wasn't a quorum in July, so in essence, there was no official meeting. So this is now the official meeting, and you're carrying that forward. So you have sent the revised plans per the Shade Tree Commission to Matt Scholes?
Yes,
Electronically?
electronically. I didn't realize that, I would have brought in the new plans. I didn't realize, I apologize.
If the Shade Tree Commission is okay with that,
With
then the
those
applicant will
changes.
have to provide us with all the hard copies.
All right,
Yes.
can we mark up on your plan, did you mark that up already, what our recommendations were?
I did not, no, I didn't want to change it. There was tree protection fence here.
Just mark it
Yeah, not a problem.
now, so it's on there. Well, here, mark it in, hey, Jack, can I borrow that hot pen? There you go, yeah. So we have the changes in the tree protection around, just go over that while you're marking them up then, around
Okay,
the,
tree protection fence, where you see the limited disturbances,
right,
tree protection fence will be going there.
correct,
There's 11 trees that are being taken down, so that's going to be changed
yes,
to 11. And the tree protection fence that is right here will be will be turned over here, so when we bring the electric down this trench, that nothing is disturbed on
and
this
does
trench.
that one more tree, does that trigger another replacement tree?
Yeah, I believe it does, yeah. The tree was dead, but I believe we were going to replace it.
John, is that, the dead tree has to be replaced too?
Yeah.
Okay, so mark down that you have an extra replacement tree going in, and then it has to be marked on your plan.
Correct.
Another tree has to be placed on there. Okay?
If he makes these changes, do you want to come back next month, or is it staff?
No, if he makes these changes, he can submit to engineering.
So the
Yeah.
engineering will get a copy of these minutes, the unofficial minutes. They'll look for all the items that you have noted and take it from there.
All right, all in favor here?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have 220 Pembroke, addition, walks and drive, remove walk drive decks, 1,080 cubic yards of soil on site.
Good evening, Rob Lambert here for the applicant. Like many of the others, we were here last month. The major comment last month was a request to add tree protection from basically the driveway across the top of the existing slope to that east property line. This plan reflects that. You do not have a copy of that plan just because we did not resubmit for this meeting based on the previous meeting. But the plan is revised. This plan right here is revised to show that. And this is the plan that we'll be submitting for the official permit.
Can we see that plan any better on the TV or not? Can we zoom in on that?
Yeah, can you zoom in? And you can move yours so that it's in the middle of the, yeah. Some more? Zoom in more?
There we go. All right, just walk us through that again. We have,
Yeah, we originally had a piece of tree protection around this tree and the tree over here.
right, so we swept.
And you
that.
asked us just to connect that. And so
Okay.
this tree protection now just connects all the way along the front.
Got it. And then, was there anything else?
That was really the only comment. You asked us just to be careful as we're excavating along for this retaining wall, and we agreed to do that.
Okay, and what was our count, the trees coming out was,
3 trees coming out.
okay.
How many go back or out there? It's less than 5, so I think.
Right,
We're here because moving dirt.
right. So I think that was the only impact that we had, a question of, right? Okay. So, all in favor of that? Aye.
Aye.
Go ahead with that project.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we're down to 148 East Lancaster Avenue. Is anyone here from that?
Somebody walked outside.
That was the spruce.
Yeah, did you happen to see that tree?
Oh, yeah, what do you decide to do with that?
Next one, Jim, they're not here.
Okay.
Which is 719 Knox Road.
79 Knox.
Revise a new one tonight.
Right, this is revised for us in our packet tonight.
Tonight?
Construct porch, terrace, pool house, pool patio, 400 cubic yards off-site, 5 trees out, 15 coming in, 8 large canopy.
Good evening, Chris Berg, Polig Builders, on behalf of our applicant, owners at 719 Knox Road. We presented this plan at last month's meeting where we have a new covered porch, new terrace, new walks, new pool house. Tree protection fencing locations per plan, construction entrance per plan, and silt fence locations per plan. There were no recommended changes by the Shade Tree Commission at last month's meeting. We did request the Township Arborist to verify the condition of the 38-inch oak scheduled to be removed, which subsequently he has verified that it does not require a compensatory planting, which is reflected in the calculations.
So just go over our recommendations at that time again. They were, what other notes do we?
There were no recommendations. All of the revisions to the plan were in answer to the township engineer's request.
Oh, okay. So how is this, is it much different than what we looked at?
There is no change to the plan.
No change to the plan.
The only change is we have not taken into account any compensatory planning requirement for the 38-inch oak.
Okay.
That's because we said
That's correct.
You know you have a 30-inch maple in there, yeah?
Coming out, yeah. Gus, we looked at this.
What's the 30-inch maple?
In
Okay, it's coming out. Yeah, that's good, that's a good plan. That's right, your construction entrance off of Watch Hill, right?
correct.
And then all that, your limit disturbance, everything was right within this zone?
Yeah, we are contained to the backyard for the improvements.
Right. And the only other digging was that, the sanitary line and that, and your water management coming from the building there?
That's correct. We have a stormwater management inlet to the left side of the pool house, which will get piped underground to an existing inlet up at the corner of the driveway. And then we'll be tying our sanitary sewer from the pool house back into the main residence.
And then where's your electric running out there to the pool house? Is it-
We'll be coming out of the left side of the terrace. From the main residence, there's an E with a hashed-in mark. Where we'll be
I got
bringing
you.
our
In-
gas and electric facilities to the pool house.
In red there?
Correct.
Okay. And the water line's going the other way? I got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Are they showing the replacement trees, 10 replacement trees, right?
That's correct.
And are you showing them where they're going to be,
They are.
or what they are?
One of them's there. One's there.
They're going to put one place right where the bench is?
And then these are part of
Okay. Okay.
Total count on the replacements was there 2 canopy trees going, oh, no, there was 4 canopy trees going back in, right? Out front, though.
The 30-inch maple, that's coming out for access, or?
That's correct. The
For the
construction entrance will be impacting the drip line of the
Okay.
30-inch maple.
Okay.
And the 38-inch oak was compromised, right?
Right.
John? Okay.
In decline, not coming.
It was in decline?
Maple was in good shape.
And what did they decide on that corner behind the pool house? There's evergreens to be planted, approved by the arborist. What was that? A few evergreens are going in back in that corner?
These, sir? Those are all existing.
No, the other, up the side there. Yes, right there.
That's additional arborvitae to satisfy the compensatory requirement.
Okay. All right. Have any other question, board?
You didn't determine the kind of canopies you're going to plant, though?
They did not. They're working with Gordon Eady and Associates Landscape Architects, who have the compensatory planning requirements, and will be incorporating that into the landscape plan.
John, they're going to run the canopy tree species by you, so if we can note that. The landscape architect's going to decide when they're getting closer to the time of the project start. John's going to confirm that.
Just to make a note, the arborvitae are not part of the comp.
They're not in that comp, right? No, just the canopy trees.
You have all your comps covered in your calculations, just from the minutes.
Okay.
Right. They're already covered, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right, 4 of the 10 are large canopy.
right. Okay, so All in favor of the project? Aye. Approved. Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So we're into new business now? Is this new? This is new, right? Okay. All right, we have 20 Cantera, construct new home, 2,900 yards of soil taken off-site.
Karen McManuels from Associated Engineering Consultants, here to represent the owner, Dave Hopelmazian. This is a residential project. Just to, I guess, get you oriented, Cantera Road comes off of Church. This property is located at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. Cantera Road comes down here, and this is the cul-de-sac. You also have Brook Road to the right-hand side of the page, which is basically north. Is this?
Goes all the way to Brook Road?
Yes, it goes all the way to Brook Road.
These pictures with us, go with us?
Yes.
These go with us?
Yeah. This is your,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, I don't have a set of pictures with me, so I'm not sure we have. The property is about 1 1/3 acres. It's currently pretty wooded lot. There was a small house, which we show represented on the plan here, that was demolished about 2 years ago. There was also a sanitary line that came through the property that was relocated along the property line about a year ago, and we had been in front of the shade tree at that time to relocate the sanitary. So we're here now to, we submitted a grading permit to build the house. So if you look at the demolition plan, I said it's a pretty wooded property. Right now, we're looking to remove 63 trees. And if you go by code, the number required to be planted would be 131 trees. If you look at the new landscaping plan, which is C 2.3, we are proposing to plant back 50 trees. We are looking to do the trees at 4 and 4.5 inch caliber. The owner is aware that we don't meet code. He is aware of the fee in lieu of, or planting trees elsewhere in the township, whatever the township would be willing to do. Right now, the C 2.3 shows the new house, the shaded. Currently, stormwater right now, we're coming down the road and it really cuts through the property here over land. So we are taking it and we are piping it. So we do have new stormwater pipe that comes through the center of the property here to pick up the road and take it through the property, and a level spreader back here. Like I said, the sanitary does run along the property here, and our new stormwater management is along Brook Road. The owner would like to keep this area opened in the future. One, he has small kids for play, and two, maybe a future pool in the future.
You're going to pick up all the stormwater from the cul-de-sac?
We're picking up the water that comes down Cantera Road, yes.
And into that infiltration bed, it's all going into that?
No, it's being piped through the property. It currently flows over land right now. It comes down Cantera Road. There's a driveway there to a certain point. It comes down the driveway and it cuts through and goes down behind these houses. So we're taking it and we're adding inlets in the road, picking it up, piping it through the property, and taking it to a level spreader out the back. So we're just piping it through. We're not managing it. We are managing our own stormwater for the house and the new driveway.
When it goes off the property, it just goes downstream the way it's flowing now, is that correct?
The same way it goes now, it's kind of like a ravine down there, and it goes through behind 4 or 5 houses, and it eventually gets into the creek.
Mr. McCone, they're in for their grading permit, and our reviewing engineer, our township engineer, Roger Phillips, has been in touch with the applicant and has asked for some additional information downstream of the discharge point, but that's the general plan as of now.
Okay. So our total is 63 trees to be removed, and as your plan is, you have 40...
We're planting 50 trees.
You're going to plant 50, so it leaves us a deficit of 81,
Correct.
and those will be picked up
Either
by...
in fee in lieu of or plantings elsewhere in the township.
Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
Whatever trees you want, wherever you want. We'd like to put trees, I'd like to put trees back in the township if possible.
So the pictures you provided are just to show that you're not happy with the trees that are existing in there?
Well, not that we're not happy with them, but like I said, the property is fairly wooded. We need to remove the trees in order to build the house and the driveway and the underground. So we're clearing the lot in order to build.
Is there a page that shows the house and grade lines with the trees you're going to leave? The
Yes,
proposed-
the new site development plan is C2.1.
C21.
That shows, it doesn't show the trees on it, but it shows the house and the grade lines. The landscaping plan does show everything. It's grade, but the landscaping plan, which is C2.3, does show the house, the new grades, and the trees.
C2.1, so you are leaving some trees, you are saving some trees?
We are saving some trees which are along the very edge on the one side. There are trees, 1 or 2 trees that are on the property line on the top side of the page.
Which plan would the tree protection be on? Which page?
The tree protection is on C1.3. Shows the tree protection and the silt fence, silt sock. So we have a tree protection fence along the edge of the property. We have silt socks along the edge of the property, so it pretty much runs the top of the page. We also have tree protection along the property edge here for the neighbor's tree. And there's tree protection fence all along the property here for the trees on the left side of the page.
All the way along.
But here it's on, here it's not a problem.
Yes. Had there been any consideration to any tree preservation at all on the site?
We tried to save as many trees as we could, but considering that the house, it was a very small house on the lot to begin with. It was built probably back in the 1950s. The house that it is and the regrading that needs to be done, there isn't too many trees that can be saved.
On the east side, I think that I'm correct, on the east side nearest the, that drainage basin, that cluster of trees there, I would be concerned if all of them were removed. If it's a shame that some could be saved if possible. John, have you seen the site?
Are you talking about along Brook Road? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I mean, I see these are your photographs,
Right.
I believe. I mean, from these photos, many of them look healthy, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they look like they're thriving. I just would be concerned maybe if we could save some on that back corner of the new proposed property. It looks like where it says I'm on C1.3, where it says topsoil stockpile. To the left of that, you have a circle with stairs there of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
To the right of that, I don't know if we could save anything there. If it would be.
You're referring to the circle and the
Yes,
stairs here?
yes.
Well, this is where the stormwater's coming through. We have
Right.
if you're looking at C1.3, we have I believe that's an 18-inch pipe that comes down through here, and then we're picking up stormwater from the house.
So that pipe will
So-
impact, that pipe will impact
Yes.
those.
Yeah, that's why the center, it's kind of divided, cuts the property in half, so we were keeping that flow.
From a stormwater perspective, you have to put in this underground detention basin, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's good, there are a bunch of trees there that I guess is what he's talking about that are in the way. That will have to be removed in order to install that, is that correct?
Yes, we're removing those trees in order to do the underground.
All, yeah.
The tree protection along the east side, which is the bottom of the plan, seems to be really inadequate considering the proximity to the trees and the property line. And I don't see any way to correct that other than the driveway is going to be right on top of the trees as well.
The edge of the driveway that we show here right now is almost the current edge of the existing driveway. That's why you have the fence there. I realize it's a little close to those trees. But
Is
we are-
the driveway being widened, or
It's
is
not-
it going to be
It's not
overlaid?
being widened, but the grades, we're raising the grade up to bring it up to the front of the house, whereas the current one kind of is level and slopes down. We're going to bring that up a little bit. There's going to be a new retaining wall here along this edge of the driveway. So we're not digging down grade along those trees. We're actually building it up a little bit with that
So
retaining
when
wall.
you cut in the retaining wall there, you'll be digging, correct? Will you dig a foundation for the retaining wall?
We'll dig a foundation, but
Okay.
the proposed wall is a segmental wall, which only goes down about 8 inches. So it's not going to be a full, 2-foot footing, 3 feet down.
I don't know how you necessarily correct the problem here. I just wanted to point out for everyone's benefit that that's,
I do realize that, but
Okay.
we're not cutting into the grade, so we were hoping we can save those trees.
Those are neighbors' trees?
yes.
So do the neighbors know your plans?
I don't know that they've actually seen these plans, but Dave has been in contact with the neighbors. The neighbors know he is going to build.
Well, Jim, I think I'm right on this. Our ordinance requires that if there's trees that can be affected in the neighbors, if neighbors' trees can be affected by your plans, they should be advised of the plans and basically approve that what could kill their trees.
Okay. Are you looking for a letter from them acknowledging that they've been, seen the plans and that they're aware of it?
If they go down, it's right inside it's inside the drip line of the closer of those two trees.
In the center there, yes, it is
Yeah.
inside the drip line.
And, you know, it's going to have some significant impact on the roots, is it not? So, you want to talk about
Well, we're looking at the same,
This tree's right here.
the existing driveway is staying existing, is that correct?
No, the existing driveway, if you look at C11,
Yeah,
the hatched area that's like right along the property line right now,
right,
that is the existing driveway,
right.
which is, that is being removed.
Go to C13.
So that'll be removed. And the new driveway is pulled off of the property line.
On C13.
On C13, you can see it. It's pulled off of the property line, which I believe we have it pulled off 3 feet.
There it is. But the difference is this is a retaining wall, this black line. How deep down will that go?
It starts at grade, and once it gets up to the house, it's about a 2-foot difference, but along here, it'll start off with nothing and grow up to be about a foot in front of those trees. And it's,
Where it meets the street, how far down will it go below grade?
well, it'll be even with the street.
Okay, so there's no foot or anything under there that's going to cut the roots of those trees?
Only down 8 inches.
Is it inches
But the existing driveway has the asphalt and stone
Right, so.
there now, so that'll be removed.
Right.
So it's almost an equivalent. And we've moved the driveway over about 3 feet.
It just depends on what they encounter when they start to dig up the old driveway. There's going to be a lot of ballast down there, so it probably goes down about 8 or 10 inches of actual ballast for the old driveway they have to rip out. And then they have to put their foundation for their wall down
Right.
at that point,
Right.
and then build the wall up.
And build the wall up, correct.
Now, would it be helpful if when they get to the bottom of the ballast, they do it by hand rather than with a backhoe?
Well, the recommendation would be if they encounter roots of the neighbor's trees when they're digging out the driveway, that they do clean them, cut them cleanly, and that they don't try to pull them out with the equipment. So anywhere that they encounter when they're pulling out the driveway, to cut any of the roots cleanly so that they don't rip them out, seeing that they're their neighbor's trees.
Okay. We can add a note to the drawing to the,
Will that kill those trees?
Well, I think getting the driveway, that much of the driveway off of them might,
Will help?
at some point, any of the roots that they cut,
Mhm.
you know, it's going to have some impact on them, but they're going to pull the rest of the driveway off. So the board, we have to look at the project. We have 100 and, how many trees? What's our total here coming out?
63 is coming out.
63 trees coming out.
There's 35 that are 6 to 18, 24 that are 19 to 29, and 4 over 30. So by code, they're looking at 131 to go back.
That's on the charts on the-
Of the heritage trees that are coming out, are any of them in poor shape, or they're all pretty viable?
There's some that are in poor shape. I don't know exactly which ones are which, but most of them are in pretty good condition.
So as planned here, your total replacements to go back in are 50 trees?
We're looking at planting back 50 trees. C23 show the trees. We're doing the trees along Brook Road and then all along the property along the top.
Of those 50 trees that you're replanting on the site, how many are going to be canopy trees?
Most of them are canopy. We're calling out the maple and oaks to go back in. The majority of trees that are coming out are maples and oaks to begin with. So we're putting back maples and oaks.
So as the compensatory plantings, if they were to be replanted in the parks, they'd follow the same rules as far as numbers of canopy trees? That
We've
would
done,
offset this total here?
we've done two things with different applicants, Mr. Chairman. So there's the fee in lieu of, and there was an applicant down the street which we allowed to plant trees here at Enke Park. So the Shade Tree Commission, could leave it up to staff or your recommendation, determine where, on township ground you would like those trees planted, and that's a viable option. If it's quote, too many trees for the lot, or there's the fee in lieu of. And again, the fee in lieu of goes to the Shade Tree Fund, which is what we use to plant trees throughout the township.
Okay. All right, Board, we looked at the plan. We have some more questions here.
It's fine. And he's willing to make the plantings or the contribution that's proposed.
Right, and they are planting larger diameter trees on the site?
Yeah, we are. We're calling out 4 to 4.5 inch calibers.
Jim, aren't they supposed to contact the neighbors in these situations, the neighbors approval? We've done it, that's what we've.
Well, I think John can take a look out there and see what impact this driveway removal and wall rebuilding is going to be impacting on the neighbors' root system of the trees, and advise us if he feels that this impact is going to be great enough to cause undue harm to the neighbor's root system. At that point, he'd let the applicant know if the neighbor needs to be notified about what damage might incur when the roots are impacted. Okay? So John can take a look out there, see what's going on for us, see what kind of trees they are, and then advise the applicant as far as what he needs to do as far as notifying the neighbor if they're going to be severely impacted during the construction process.
So, on 2.3, that's your replacement tree list there?
Yes, yes, it is.
So, white French tree, so, see that? Those look, white fringe tree. Is
We
that-
count that as a tree, John, the fringe tree, as a tree? Is it counted as a tree?
Canopy?
No.
It's ornamental, right? So, does this state how many canopy trees you're putting back in?
We don't have them divided like that. We just have them by their common name, the quantities.
John, you looking at that, how many canopy trees are in that replacement there? Can you tell?
4, 8, 15.
Is it hedge maple? 50. 50 are canopy trees?
No.
Arborvitae, Western arborvitae is considered a tree that's in our ordinance as a canopy tree.
Really?
So we pretty much follow code, I believe. The trees that were selected, I believe, are on the planning list in the code.
What's that, a giant arborvitae, basically?
Yes.
The hydrangea is fiery, obviously, or not.
Well, the kyananthus is
Yeah, the
is
shrubs.
considered a canopy tree? Is the fringe tree considered a canopy tree in our ordinance?
I have to check on that, but I don't think so.
And not the,
I think it's recommended as a flowering tree.
A
not the
flowering
blue atlas
tree.
cedar, right?
The flowering tree.
Red cedar, I think, is.
The blue atlas?
Oh, not blue apple.
No. And the hedge maple is considered a canopy tree?
Yes.
So whatever they would be deficient in this count would be made up for in lieu of, either monetarily or with those trees put into the parks. So we have a vote on this, yea or nay, in favor. Any more questions before we vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so proposed project can go ahead.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next up is 731 King of Prussia Road, construct a garage, 102 yards of soil off-site.
Hello. Street Miraka, the owner.
Okay,
All right, right on over here off the driveway in front of the garage.
Okay,
I have a single car garage on the existing house.
just state your name and the project for me. Your name?
Street Miraka, the owner of the
Okay.
property. And constructing a detached garage off the property.
Okay.
Also next to the, right on the back of the house, like to move 8 foot the existing wall. Let me look better on this over here. And also build a garage, which is going to be 20 feet wide and 30 feet deep. There is no trees to be cut. There is no dirt to be, elevations. This tree in the back over here, it's a dead tree. So right behind the garage.
The 21-inch tree?
Yes.
From what I see,
I just
don't-
bought the property. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, from what I see, I don't think there's any identification on these. Am I missing that?
I don't think he's taking any out anyway.
Just the inches.
But for any construction impact?
Right, so you have the size of the trees, which is great. We just need to know what kind of trees are on the property, maple, oak. You have the sizes, we just need to know what they are.
I'm not very familiar with the site, what the kind of the trees they are myself, but I'm not touching any of the trees, so. I'll look.
You're right, no, I understand, which is fine, we're just as part of the ordinance or plan purposes, we just need to identify.
That's fine. I can bring that information, so it's
Yeah.
not a problem.
We don't have any tree protection up around these trees here?
Where, on the garage you're talking
Yeah.
about? I think on this plan over here, the civil engineer, the guy who drew this plan, he has some kind of silt protection on this side over here, and it says on the north, new silt fence, see details.
Correct.
So,
We need, on our plan, to see our tree protection fence designated on the plan. Where we have the garage being built south of the garage, on this plan, it'd be east of the garage. There's 2 trees of the neighbors that we don't know what they are. I believe they're the neighbors, right?
yes.
There's some grade lines that you're going to be cutting around this garage, so you're going to be getting close to these trees. We like to keep you away from the root zone of those neighbors' trees if possible.
They're not very large trees, very small, but I don't think I'm going to be on their way with the building of the garage.
Is there a rule of thumb on that as far as we don't necessarily mandate putting tree protection on the neighbor's tree, right?
No, and we can't mandate that he go on another property to do so. My recommendation would be, it looks like, if you look at the plan, so there's the accessory building, which is at the end of the driveway. So it seems to me that most of that work's going to be excavated, hauled out the driveway, so there's going to be a minimal impact on the rest of the lot.
Right.
Yes.
Are you going to be stockpiling any topsoil from this job, or are you hauling everything out of here?
I'm holding everything out of there.
Everything goes?
Maybe something on the back of this corner over here to fill this up all the way to the end of the yard.
And there's no trees back there?
It's all wooded area. But right, as you see this line is the wooded area. All this is landscaped, it's just grass on the bottom over here. But all this is wooded area. Over here, I like to make a bump so all this water from the neighbors, just a little bit to fill it and make it look nice. But if the guys, advise not to do anything, I'll leave it alone, so it's not a big deal.
But you'd like to build that up so water doesn't come onto your property or it runs off your property?
As you notice over here at the corner, some water goes toward the neighbors. And I spoke with the neighbor, and he has already, because on the back of his house, he has a small creek running through. And he said, if you lift this up so all that water goes to my property, they will be okay with him. So
So all water goes to his property? It all stays on the creek?
stays on mine right now. Yeah, right now runs a little bit on his property, but if I take the dirt from my garage and put it back there, it will run to my property.
So you're helping with stormwater drainage by doing this? A little bit?
Just a little bit, but I'm going to build an infiltration trench right in the middle of the yard, so.
Right, all right, so we don't have any, there's no trees coming out, minimal exposure here. We're a little worried about the neighbor's trees.
I will not touch them, sir.
Okay.
They're very small.
We just need to have the trees on the property identified.
That is fine.
So if they can identify the trees, I don't see any need for any other tree protection. You say the tree behind the garage is dead?
The tree behind the garage is dead, yes, and it's leaned over towards my property, so I haven't decided yet, but I'll wait when somebody from the...
This one here?
That is correct, yes.
Is dead?
Yes. I'll wait somebody from the township when they stop by, and we'll see whatever they say. If they say to cut it, I'll cut it down, be done with it, so. Or if they want something else inside it over there, plant another tree, that will be fine too.
Are they supposed to have the trees around the outside of the property 15 feet?
Usually in the area where they're going to be impacting any of the neighbor's trees. So we put these two on the side here. Steve, do you need to have John, do we need to show any other neighbor's trees just in our area of disturbance?
All trees within 5 feet of the property line.
Around the entire property? Okay. No matter where they're working on the property? All right. All right. Is there any other trees that you know of that are on this property, on your property, that aren't on this plan?
No.
And how about your neighbor's property?
Neighbor, right where these two little trees are, the garage has a garage a little bit further, about 20 to 30 feet, maybe more than 30 feet, I would say. He has a pool, so it's all landscaping around it.
What is it? It's within 5 feet of the property line?
Correct.
Okay.
It's totally empty, free landscaping around the pool.
So there's no other trees around?
No other trees. The only two trees are right here.
This was a wooded area.
And this section over here, it's his, driveway going to park the cars in the garage, entering the garage. So it's all. He's got a small fence, wooded fence over here. Yeah.
Did you mention to us that part of this was a wooded area?
Right at the end over here, all this back over here, it's wooded area.
What do you mean by wood? Trees, right?
Trees, yes.
On your property or the neighbor's property?
My property and neighbor's property also.
This whole area.
Right.
Whole area right on top over here, it's wooded area.
Excuse me, sir?
Yes.
Did you have this property surveyed?
Yes.
Because there's no survey pins on the property at all on the map.
I had, this is from a surveyor, all this drawing over here, which is Caroli Engineering. Steve Murphy was the engineer.
We don't have that over here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a plan with any contour lines or.
Yeah.
This was tucked into the.
We have a
Yes.
supplement here?
No problem.
The applicant indicated that the rear of the property, the north,
Don't we have to show all the trees that are in here, if that's wooded?
It's a big slope, with all the wooded area. Barely can even walk over there because it's so dense. It's never was landscaped or anything like that. You have trees laying down, so. I didn't know much, so I had him go out there and. I'm not gonna touch that area, I'm not gonna do anything with it. Maybe clean it a little bit later on, but
What's that? I guess I gotta ask Steve. Steve, the applicant indicated that there's a wooded area on the property
Toward the north.
toward the north? Or,
That should be, that's okay. And then the trees need to be tagged and species shown.
okay.
Because, I mean, I understand what the applicant's saying, that, you know, it's down there and it's out of grading, but by ordinance, all the trees on the property are supposed to be noted on the plan.
Okay. So,
Do we have the ability to waive that? In other words, do we have the ability legally to waive that piece of the ordinance, since it's not being affected?
There's many plans that come in here that don't necessarily conform to every aspect of the ordinance, you know, by crossing every T and dotting every I.
Nice dodge.
If there is no impact and you feel that, I mean, I'm not the solicitor, but I would assume that if there was no impact and this commission felt that it wasn't necessary, but in general, every tree is supposed to be shown on the lot.
okay, so how's the board feel about this, the question here? We could approve the plan under the condition that the trees that are presently on the plan be identified. It goes to engineering as is.
I have
Or-
no problem with that. Even
or-
if the back ones, if you want to.
Or
but
do
just-
we ask him to identify every single tree on the property as existing?
I would support, if he put tree protection on the 2 trees nearest the garage that is to be constructed. I mean, those are shown as a tree. I would support moving it forward and letting him follow up with engineering.
With the identification of the existing,
Correct.
of the existing trees on the plan, right?
Yeah, I have,
Yeah,
it's on
I
this
agree
plan, the
because
support for the 2
there's-
trees. so.
There's not even what, in the existing trees, they're not taking any down.
All right.
So,
Do we?
And it's too
do we
far
get-
back.
do we
Hold
vote-
them harmless
Do we
for
understand
that.
what we're voting on here? We just asked that, we asked that you could put some protection against the neighbor's
have it on
tree
the
there.
first plan, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then identify the trees that you have marked on the plan here, and then submit that to engineering.
You got it.
All right. We have a vote here on that. All in
Agreed.
favor?
Aye.
No,
No, he doesn't have
you
to
just
come
submit.
Thank you.
Ayes have it, so go ahead.
Not a problem. Thank you so much. Have a nice night.
It's ridiculous, these things, some of these things.
Okay, we have 114 Cambria Court. We have swimming pool with 110 yards of soil kept on site.
Good evening. Tom Casey with Anthony and Sylvan Pools on behalf of the owner, Melissa Nagel of 114 Cambria. You might have to zoom a little bit. Your plans are bigger than my copy. That's good, thank you. No, I think I'm okay. I didn't bring my reading glasses in, so we might have to do that. On the plan by Mesco Engineering, the axis is defined on the southeast property line. That remains the same. There are no trees in that access. And the limit of disturbance is defined here.
Can you move that up just so it's on the screen?
I'm sorry.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
There we go. The limit of disturbance is defined, as you can see, around this area. That will remain unchanged, and there will be no grading beyond. The 2 trees in question are on the southeast corner of the property here. They are 48-inch birch trees. They're approximately 20 to 30 feet off the deep end of the pool, adjacent to the pool. The protection barriers planned on site would be consistent with the commission requirements on barrier fencing requirements overall. And that's pretty much it. The submitted plan has erosion and sedimentation controls, impervious. We're not taking any trees out. We're not disturbing any. The notations for the barrier protection are also on the plan.
have a question.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the applicant. On the plan, you show access at the rear of the property,
Yes.
and what is on the other side?
It's owned by Radnor Financial. We have there's no trees in that area, but we have a permission slip. We can't, you guys are familiar with us, we can't, as a national company, just trot across somebody's property line. So there's a permission for an access permission form that we've received approval from them. There you go.
No, it's down further toward Radnor Football Center. You know what Genardi's is?
Yeah.
So that's how they're gonna get it, this will be across the street. Yeah.
Sorry,
That's okay.
There's a little map for it.
Okay, so we're up against there's a pretty big beech tree there, 48-inch beech. Have you limited disturbance probably at what, 15, 20 feet from the actual trunk of the tree?
We're further than that. I think the drop line, we're probably 10, 12 feet from the drop line. If you note that on the plan here, it looks like it's going to be, I don't have a scale with me, but the actual tree, we're probably somewhere between 20 and 30 feet from that tree.
Right, you're 120, so from your limited disturbance line to the trunk of the tree, you're less than 20 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you said. Yes.
And then you're showing that 348 grade line hooking back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and your pool equipment is there too.
Right here.
Is there any chance of moving that pool equipment to the other side? Keep all your piping and everything?
Well, the general route of the plumbing is going to be on this. I'm going to get away from the microphone. It would probably all be on this side of the pool, away
Right.
from these trees. It would not circle over in this direction. Skimmers and returns and so forth, and the spa plumbing would all be on this side. I don't know if there's another reason that the owner wanted it down the deeper end. We usually favor the deep end with the filtration system due to the bottom drain line and trying to keep it as efficient as possible.
Drain line that feeds the equipment, how deep is that?
Well, the pool, it would run underneath the swimming pool, so it would run up to where the skimmer is. So it's actually, it would run almost southeast of the deep end of the pool until it got beyond the shell. So if the swimming pool's 8 feet deep, it's going to be about 8.5 feet.
The equipment's about 15 feet from the base of the 48-inch beach.
Yeah.
That just rests on the pad.
It comes on a precast composite pad, so there's no, there's no foundation dug down for any pad or anything of that nature. It just sets on the ground. We put some crushed stone underneath it and then sit it on a pad.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you could tighten up the location of that equipment closer to the pool, you could tighten that grade line up a little bit, and we could just get away from that beech tree as far as we could. We could move that tree protection out a little bit, like almost up to where your limited disturbance or a little bit further up toward that pool would be.
Right, we have a national electrical code requirement to keep that 10 feet from the pool or greater, and we're also dealing with a setback on that side as well, so.
Right.
There might be a little bit of room to scoot it to the southeast side, just to try to get it as far from there as possible.
If it's possible, if they could tighten that 384 line up a little bit.
Yeah, the excavation for the plumbing is usually just below bottom of deck grade, just below subgrade, which is 8 or 9 inches. It's usually not any deeper than that. The disruption would be minimal.
Well, that's what we're worried about. The beech trees have really fine surface roots, so as soon as we get to like 4 or 5 inches, that upper topsoil layer, that's where we're at, you know, into the root system of the trees. They just don't take being fussed with that much, particularly in this kind of situation. So if we could push that tree protection as far east as we could, almost to that limited disturbance line, or into that limited disturbance line.
Okay. So slide the equipment set along the rear property line to the east
Correct.
as much as possible.
As much as possible. Move that tree protection as far east as could be, and just incorporate it from that one property line to all the way to the other property line corner. So it's just that whole kind of corner of tree protection, so we don't have anyone trying to get in around it or anything.
I misunderstood that. This tree protection in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see what I have it on my map here? Presently, we have it in this area, so if you swung it all the way around here, so no one can get underneath this. As far toward the end of the service as you could, and tighten up this 384 line a little bit. And let it pass, but you have to have, you know, this border coming this way. Or actually, if it's possible, if you can get it, if you're not allowed to put it in the setback, if you are, that'd be great. I mean, you're at 10 foot right here between the pool.
Well, the code is 10 feet of water, so I know you have
A little bit of room. Sure. You know, all your piping's going this way.
Yeah, just make sure all the piping is
Right. And that was the structure. Exactly. That's the only thing we're worried about is the machinery running back and forth this way.
The tree protection, that shouldn't be in the way of anything to move that along.
So we could push that, push the tree protection
As the
east.
equipment goes, so goes the tree protection.
Right.
Yeah, you can see the pool's pushed up to that setback as much as. No, I know that. There was a reason because of these steps, I'm sure, to try to scooch in that direction. There might be a little bit of room lateral.
So we just asked that they could move the tree protection a bit east. That would incorporate the whole corner then, so no one could get under the tree protection. Possibility of moving the pool equipment a bit east too, to get out of the root zone of that beech tree as much as possible. And limit the amount of equipment, and maybe tighten up that grade line, that 384 grade line, could get tightened up a little bit. That would limit the amount of equipment running on that side, the west side of the proposed pool.
Yes, sir.
And with that, include as much of the piping to be on the south side of the pool.
You bet.
Could you talk to us about that proposed fence on the east, near the east corner? That 138-inch sycamore looks like it could be a neighbor's, perhaps?
This one?
Yes.
I can't really speak to the fence. I'm not sure what the fence plans are. It's just listed as proposed. It's running along the property line, so it looks like it's off the property line. One's off and one's just on.
But that's a proposed pool fence?
Yeah, it's to meet the code.
Now, according to the code, does that fence have to be right along the property line?
No, I don't think that's part of the code. It's just that the barrier, normally homeowners want to push that as far to the property line as possible. You have to maintain on the other side of it is usually the debate.
You think maybe staggering pole placement so we can stay away from the actual physical buttress roots of drilling at that site?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through, it looks like it's awful close to the trunk of that sycamore, where it's proposed to be.
Here?
And the same with that cherry.
Yeah, right here.
What's going on there?
I don't know what type
Fence.
of fence it is, how deep the foundation is, if it even has this type of foundation. If it's post and rail, is it?
The depth of the posts are usually pretty equivalent no matter what kind of fence it is. So you're going to go down 18 inches.
I guess if we could ask if they could stagger the posts so that they don't fall directly in front of the buttress roots of the trees themselves.
Mhm.
They won't be
On the
dri-
east side, near those two trees. Yeah.
Right.
That's the pool fence, or?
Yeah. that's
Yeah, there's a
proposed-
pool fence
proposed
right
pool
along
fence,
here.
yeah.
I'm sure we could do that.
Okay. All right, well, if they submitted the plans with those changes to engineering, we could vote on this. All in favor as proposed with the additions?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have someone for 786 Church Road. Chanticleer, the elevated walkway? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, my name is Matthew Nelson. I'm with Jonathan Alderson Landscape Architects. We're working on the elevated walk at Chanticleer. We stood in front of you guys in February. And since that time, there's been a design change. It's actually, we actually decreased the scope and decreased the overall length of the elevated walkway and the disturbance to the property. So I can go through all these plans if you'd like, and give you a refresher on the design.
Sure.
Okay.
We had approved it prior, right? In
What's that?
February?
Yes, you approved
Right.
it, yep. At that time, we were taking out 3 trees, and then we were proposing a whole number of trees to be put in. So the only change from that is now we're just proposing to take out 1 tree. And the overall disturbance is actually less than it was before, so we're not encroaching as far out into the lawn as we were prior. And we're taking a little bit of a different route to get down this steep hillside from the upper terrace of the mansion down to the lower path here. So I guess you guys have Momini's plans, the grading permit drawings?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm looking at sheet 4 here. It kind of gives you the tree protection, matting, the tree protection fence, construction access, silt fencing, all that stuff. So we can go through that. So basically, we'll have construction access off of Church Road and staging in between the 2 service buildings on this driveway here. And then we'll get to the main construction access will go through the existing service drive, which they use for vehicles currently. So that's no change there. And then out into the lawn. And in terms of sequencing, they'll pour the foundations for the walkway first. And then they'll go through and they'll do any masonry work that needs to be done. And then from there, they will crane in the steel structure that will be prefabricated off-site. So it's pretty minimal disturbance to this hillside.
Everything, all the dots, these are all the piers that they're going to be putting in?
Correct, yeah.
So the construction process is the same as we had
Precisely.
agreed on in February,
Yeah.
just they have moved it a bit?
Yeah, they just, some of the curves are a little bit different. The biggest change is we pulled it back. It used to encroach pretty far into the lawn. We pulled it back at the client's request. And we're staying off of this service drive now, and we're terminating the path a little bit closer. So there's overall less of a length of the path. That was the only change in terms of construction, structure, tree protection. Everything is the same as before.
And just, there's only one tree. One tree comes down.
Correct. Yeah. We're taking out this 8-inch holly.
Where are you going to position the crane again?
I believe it's going to be in this staging area. You can see that right off of Church Road. There's a parking lot here. That's what the structural engineers tell us, yeah.
Did you change, are you changing the number of trees you're putting in?
Slightly. Let me get that plan for you.
Just for information, I mean, you're just taking out one small tree, there's really no replacement needed, but just curiosity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the screen, I'm not sure if you guys have this.
No, because we haven't.
This whole design is requiring, it's going to be a garden space, so we're proposing three canopy trees be planted, 21 understory trees, and 8 evergreen trees, and then we'll be planting about 9,000 square feet of cool and warm season grass, perennial beds.
Sounds nice.
It's going to be great.
Okay. Sounds, this is the kind of plan we dream of getting.
Yeah.
At night.
Dream plan, right?
You have good dreams, this is the kind of thing we get.
Okay, do we have any other questions for them here? We're going to vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project.
Got one little tree.
That's it. Okay, last we have 255 Abraham's Lane, construct driveway courtyard. Remove 5,000 square feet. Remove 8 trees, plant 8 trees.
Hello. I'm Grace Herman. I'm with Jonathan Alderson Landscape Architects as well. And we're the landscape architects on this project. It's basically a house renovation for an existing property that's about 10.5 acres. And there's going to be a house renovation that's mostly limited to the interior. And then we're working on doing a driveway realignment, which is going to cause a little bit of grading. We're going to be removing about 4,750 square feet of impervious and replacing it with 4,000, so we're coming out a little bit under. And so we're going to be removing 7 trees that are between 6 and 18 inch, and they're all along the house, right here. One of them's in decline. The rest are going to be affected by grading or are crowding the house, kind of. So, and then we're going to be proposing replacing them with 9 trees. And so we think that, according to our interpretation of the code, that should satisfy the requirement.
Okay. Do you have your tree removal schedules on here, the sizes on?
Yes. It's written right here. We have 1 7-inch dogwood, a 6-inch dogwood, a 15-inch maple, 8-inch maple, 8-inch maple, 7-inch maple, and 7-inch dogwood.
What page?
L302, I'm sorry.
Are they coming out because of grading changes, or?
Well, one of them is in decline. These are really close to the house. They're growing into the house. I actually have some pictures of them, which we didn't submit, but I can show you. So the client is requesting that we remove them, and then the others will be affected by the grading, so, yes.
They're all pretty small, right?
Yes. And they were planted kind of close to the house, so.
And you're putting 9 replacements in?
Yep, we have, according to this chart, we have 8 ilex and that are going to be screening along this driveway. And then 1 Cornice Cusa right here.
Where are you? Sorry.
Sorry, right here. And that's a 3-inch is the plant we have planned to go in there.
John, they just go back 1 to 1, right? Under,
We're actually exceeding it by 2 trees.
right. Just on your tree protection detail,
Yes.
we bumped it up to 6-foot chain link.
Okay.
So if you could add that
Sure, no
detail
problem.
into the, into your plan.
There's a schematic on
There's a schematic for you.
All right, no problem.
So it says you're just, you're removing 5,000 square foot of impervious, right? Is that?
Actually, yeah, just about 4,750 was what we pulled out in our calculations.
So, I
Oh,
mean,
actually, you know
there's-
what? There's a deck coming out. I'm sorry, I didn't include that in the calculations that I ran right before. It must be around 5,000.
Right, not,
Yeah.
it didn't say soil, so that, it just says remove, all it says is square foot, so I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's impervious, right?
Yep.
Okay. So there's no soil stockpile or anything that?
Nope.
Everything's just getting ripped out? Okay. Group, do we have any other questions for us? Seems pretty straightforward. We have a vote on this, all in favor? Ayes have it.
Aye.
Go
Thank
ahead
you.
with the project. Okay, so we have our list of hazardous trees here. John, you've approved, you have approval on all these? All right. So, should I run down the whole list, Steve?
I don't think it's necessary if you just know what was on the agenda that was seen by the Township's appointed arborist. Shade Tree Commission concurred.
So,
They're mostly going on
King Prussia Road?
No, you can crush it. Ward, County Ward Company.
Oh. You were back to Notre Dame on that? They had some additional trees coming down? Okay.
Not a problem, and they're putting some more trees.
They have some more trees coming back in?
It's a great project. I actually stopped there a couple times. They're actually going to put another alley in. They're actually trying to preserve trees that were like totally decayed. So now they remove them, they're going to make a new alley later on down the line. So they're really all about preservation for sure.
Okay. All right, group, so I think that's all for tonight. I think,
Just real quick, Jack, for the protocol, me and Steve have been talking earlier. We've been getting calls about people cutting down trees on Saturdays and Sundays.
okay.
Jack called me last week. Doug usually runs out and checks it, however, Doug's been tied up with Mark being out. So the protocol going forward, if somebody sees a tree being helped out permit, just call me. Can't get ahold of me, call Sue, she'll get me out and take a look at it. If you can, snap a photo, take a measurement. Because legally, I'm not allowed to encroach onto the property unless I call the police or call the township. So we just want to avoid having Doug being pulled away from sewer department, go out and look at a tree and then find out that it's not a heritage tree and then we get the police involved. So it gets ugly after a while.
So just so we're clear on this, it's not in our purview to engage anyone.
Yes.
It's just we can just report what we say to the township. They will take it from there.
An email is a very good way to do it. So if you were to send an email to John, Sue, and myself, one of us, either John, myself, or Doug, or I'll get somebody, can go see that.
I did call John Rice. We legally cannot make them stop. The police cannot even make them stop.
Right.
Remove the tree. However, what we do is if I come out and document the heritage tree, that goes back to Sue. We're going to pull their permit to work with the township, which we are working on with one company right now who's kind of been doing a lot. Then we will proceed to come in compliance for the homeowner and the contractor combined.
Right, so we see something that might be questionable.
Yep.
Heritage tree coming down, or a number of trees that we don't think we've talked about. Just make the call to the township.
And we have to remember that if it's under the 30 inches, a homeowner has the ability to remove 5 trees without a permit.
Right.
So what may look like a serious infraction is somebody working well within their rights. And the reality of it is, a homeowner can remove trees from their property. The appropriate way is to come to this commission if it becomes 6 or more, or it's a heritage tree. I would like to add one item, and our plans are not complete yet, so I don't have them to bring in. The township is proposing to install additional parking on that grass area right outside the police entrance. You'll see there's been an inlet there since this building was built. It was actually originally designated for parking. There are some trees that will have to be removed. I'm going to ask the arborists to go out. I think a few of them are in decay, but I'm not qualified to make that determination. So at the next meeting, I plan on having a sketch of the parking lot and the tree table and all the other things that we require everybody else to do.
Steve, can I get back to the previous issue before we get off there? One is that email, lots of the ones I've identified, the trees are being taken down at that time. The one with King Kleiner, they had that even though that was not didn't turn out to be technically a heritage tree, it did have a 36-inch base, and the only reason it wasn't a heritage tree was it spread out at 4 feet instead of 4 feet 6. But it was a huge maple. It was a beautiful maple, and they had all the branches off that tree in a half hour, with less than a half hour, about 15 minutes, and they were ready to take the tree down. And these guys that are really, not following our policies, they are getting these trees out in a blink of an eye, including taking out the stump. A lot of them, we've gone out after it's taken down, and you can tell from what's left of the stump. Those trees don't narrow all that much. I think you would agree. Maybe four inches is a lot.
John had the formula as far as.
What is the formula? Yeah, how much they normally narrow out, up to 4 feet?
For every 2 feet, it can get up to 3 to 4 inches.
Yeah, but it's not always that much.
No, it's species dependent.
Yeah.
Like a tall poplar is pretty much from the start after the flare.
Right.
They're pretty much consistent.
Yeah.
You get a weight open.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to get
And the ones I reported, if they weren't heritage trees, they were within an inch of being a heritage tree, and we could tell that. So so the problem is, by the time email, it's gone, everything's gone. Because they're doing it. They know to get these out quick.
And that's why, Jack, and I applaud you for being very conscious and, following up with me and Doug on that. The problem is, we can't stop it. If you call me, and I can get out there quickly. We just can't pull Doug off an issue that he's dealing with. He was dealing with a safety issue that day.
Right.
So we pulled off to go look at that. A problem arose at the actual previous job he was at. So
Right.
we can't have that happen, unfortunately. You can call me, what you have done.
Right.
I'll report this to immediately. I'll come out, take a look, and then go from there.
Right.
Send fine, send fine to the homeowner and the contractor.
Right. But the issue is that with these is not really the owners of the properties, for most of these cases. The issue is the tree companies are not even looking at whether these are heritage trees or not. They're not even considering our ordinances at all. They're just, giving carte blanche to the owners, boom, take it down.
I don't fault the contractor as much as I do the homeowner. The homeowner lives in the township of Radnor.
Right.
Okay, they're responsible to understand where they live, and what regulations.
And let's be realistic, it's, the majority of tree contractors do follow the rules. So there are some rogues,
Right.
and if they're registered like they're supposed to be, they get the ordinance, and they're supposed to know it. So it's the unregistered contractors, but there's a whole host of tree contractors that know the rules, come in,
Right.
fill out the permits for a hazardous tree,
No, I'm
follow the rules.
obviously.
But there are some, and actually, the only way we find out about these trees is residents calling in.
Right.
They'll let us know that something's going on. So it's no harm, no foul. There was that one property was considerable. And, it was great that somebody called us to let us know, because then the compensatory planning's kicked in.
What is the protocol now that we follow up with these contractors they have repeated violations against them?
Well, there's a repeated violation that we're going to look into, suspending their ability to do work in Radnor Township. I need to check with the solicitor on that.
Right.
But also the reality of it is, we're not in every square mile of the township every day.
Right.
So conceivably, somebody could come back in. But again, the majority that are reputable, it's not an issue.
And the best is Rick's. They do great. Rick's calls, if they don't have a measure of tree, they call, we go out with a tree farm measure. They've been actually great. But it's the Kinkinder and some of these smaller firms that we don't hear about day to day.
And I think just getting the awareness out to new residents in regard to our ordinance is going to be important.
Aerator, Shriner, Ward, those people call.
Everybody that is actually registered with the township tree contractors get every year an updated ordinance, so they understand, so we'll be sending that out every year as they reapply for their.
License, yeah.
When the ordinance changed, everybody, engineers, contractors, everybody got a copy of the new ordinance.
I'm looking at the tree damage takedowns since the big storms of the winter. And most of them are from Jim's company. I don't see these other companies which we're saying are, I can't believe that if I found like 5 or 6 heritage trees since that storm, just myself walking around and running around, that there aren't more heritage trees that came down, and we haven't gotten them. All we've gotten them is from Jim's company.
Well, you see a lot of
I
trees.
think in the winter, that was a very unusual circumstance. The township was literally at a standstill with trees down throughout the streets and on pico wires. And we were going around, but perhaps more did come down, but a lot of them actually fell.
Right.
Or part of their trunk came out. So they might not have gone through the process, but that was an emergency at that point.
Yeah, sure. Oh, absolutely, yeah, but,
Or even the street. So when Pico comes back out and has Asplund clear that tree, in the one last big storm we had a couple of months ago, there were some huge trees along Sproul Road, Bryn Mawr Avenue. They were down, they were on the wire, so you're right, there was no permit done. Our request was get them cut so we can get Bryn Mawr Avenue open and get Sproul Road open.
but there were others that were damaged that had to come down later from that storm. They never showed up on our agenda, and there had to be. If I found 4 or 5 myself that were violations or near violations, right. So I don't think we're getting them. You agree, John? Yeah.
Okay, that's it for our meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, Doug.
The people who didn't show up, do we need to keep this stuff?
They gotta come back.
I would keep it, sir.
Jim, was on the agenda the one gentleman with the,
Spruce.
Bruce, was he scheduled to come back?
didn't show up.
He didn't show up.
148 East Lancaster.
We gonna drive by and see it? I'll try to drive by and see it. I wanna make sure he didn't cut it down. I don't know if he got contacted to come back. I mean, pretty much he walked out here thinking he was taking that tree down, I think.
Yeah. We're going,
No, everybody had to come back. It wasn't
that's it for this evening.
It's a commercial site, okay.
The building one here? Yeah. It's right next to the
Jim, sit Jack on.